not conducive, in the Eastern District of Virginia to have an intoxicated jury. That would be fair, but that could change in the future. And in accord with your sentiment, I think, I had written a letter to the Attorney General saying, we think it would be constructive to at least enter a dialogue into whether or not we could have certain agreements as to what conditions might obtain if Edward Snowden returned that could secure a fair trial, like not treating him like Bradley Manning and sticking him in an isolation chamber for months or a year prior to trial. It's not unusual. People who have been accused of Espionage Act violations have not been detained before trial before, including John Kiriakou and Daniel Ellsberg, and that you secure a neutral venue. Remember, Timothy McVeigh wasn't tried in Oklahoma City; he was tried in Denver, so you don't have a foreordained result. And these were presented not as ultimatums. Hey, how about discussion points if you're really serious about this? And he refused to respond. I mean, basically what he said, but we won't torture him. That's what he wrote to the Ministry of Justice in Russia. We won't torture him. So you can imagine how low confidence in the U.S. justice system is. We have to promise we won't torture our own citizens. And he didn't really offer much anything further. But the fact is, things may turn out as what you suggest in a different climate and different circumstances. The ideal situation, if you have a full due process trial, would be what you described, if you have an ideal situation.
Devin.
I want to ask you a question, because it seems to be the topic of Snowden and whatnot. I love the fact that this information is released because I think the discussion that we're talking about is a very important one. But even I think he violated the Espionage Act, and he's criminal. And I would say he's a whistleblower at the same time. I wouldn't call him a traitor because I don't believe he committed treason. But wouldn't you agree he does appear to have violated the Espionage Act and therefore a criminal?
Maybe, maybe not. You have to read what the Espionage Act provides for. You have to show that what was done harmed the national security of the United States or injured or aided and abetted the enemy. And it seems rather bizarre when his chief audience that he attended, according to his own words, I think it's fair to state, was the U.S. people. We're the enemy. So that's arguable. And moreover, it's my view that the government is prohibited under the First Amendment from criminalizing action that exposes government wrongdoing. That if the disclosure shows that, and a court concludes that the NSA was violating Section 215 of the Patriot Act or the Fourth Amendment, it would be unconstitutional to prosecute somebody for exposing government wrongdoing. I mean, that's just an outrageous system. The government makes it a crime to expose the government's crimes. I mean, that's what you read about in China, right? Or Russia today. And I just put those out there. Those are strong arguments that exist. So it seems to me premature to make a conclusion that you've made.
My question is, what do you think is the biggest misconception that's going on that they're trying to play out within the media to distract people from the real issue that's going on?
Well, I think this preoccupation with whether or not in Russia Putin is a homophobe and it's got bad, and Jesus, should we boycott the Olympics and Suu Kyi or stuff like that is a distraction. I mean, no one's trying to claim that Russia is a paragon of human rights or whatever. But that's to say, well, we never believed that anyway. That's, again, trying to distract attention from what are we doing. We need to be foremost concerned about what our actions say about us, not about the other guy and how, well, we're not quite as bad as they are. But that's where you see this fascination of, well, Russia isn't pure, and speculating on motives as to why asylum might be granted here or there. The issue is about the United States of America and who we are as a people and how we wish to be governed. And I think that's one strategy. The other one, of course, is to proclaim these shutdowns of American embassies and whatever. Oh, see, the programs really do work. We've already had for 2 or 3 or 7 days, the North African and Middle East embassies shut down. And I'm sure that will continue.
I just want to make, I like what you said. You said how, like, immediately 12 or so members of Congress came right out using the traitor word for Edward Snowden. And the first thing that jumped out to me when I read all those comments was that I'm in the Army, and when Nidal Hassan murdered in cold blood 13 other soldiers in uniform, I don't think one person in the government rushed out to the media and called him a traitor. If anyone was a traitor, he was. But given everything you've said leads me to believe that you were very unhappy with the Bush administration about a lot of these stuff too. So given that, I guess a lot of the Republicans, because they tend to follow the president of their party, supported that. And then now the Democrats were very contrary back then. But I believe even Snowden said he voted for Obama because he thought he was going to change things. And then now that
So did Glenn Greenwald.
yeah, and now that Obama's doing the exact same thing, all the Democrats have shut up because they don't want to criticize their own guy. And I think like, you know, McCain-type Republicans are trying to be consistent to what they said 7 years ago. So now that it seems like it's a bipartisan thing going on, doesn't that, do you think it kind of has a chilling effect on the public to speak out against that because they think now there's no difference between the two sides anymore?
I don't think it has necessarily a chilling effect. It may cause the public to be dismayed or disenchanted. I don't think it causes them. Maybe you're suggesting they think it doesn't matter which party, it's going to happen anyway, so why should I get involved? Sort of, become resigned to the whole situation. Well, maybe, but that's always true. I mean, so these large issues about $1 trillion debts and whatever, both parties are complicit. I think that in this case, it's less likely they'll become resigned because the injury is more direct to them. They are being spied upon. Other issues, national debt, they seem a little bit more remote. But this one, I think, people see directly, and they see it more every day. Surveillance drones and localities, worried about everything that they do being in the hands of the government.
Any more questions? Do we have any more questions?
So when are you going to Russia?
No, I hate to say that's a state secret. You can understand why I can't give an answer to that.
Sure.
Yeah, I can tell you after it's happened, after the fact, but before it would be quite interesting.
I'm glad you waited, because we were nervous last week.
I just wanted to say, listen, I welcome you all here. I'm somebody who believes there's no statute of limitations on truth. A man or a woman who doesn't go wiser by day is a fool. And all the things I said today, I'm sure, are controversial. None of my statements are intended to denigrate anybody's viewpoints, even if I disagree with them. I think that's what makes America great. You can have disagreements, and you can argue them out, you vote, and that's how we go forward. That's the meaning of enlightenment and civilization. We don't run away from it. That's all I have to say.
In that vein,